Good morning. It is me, Pearl from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Tarot. And we are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine energy inside of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to see change around us, we actually do need to shift and flow with the energy within us, and come into alignment with what it is that we desire. All right, let us begin. Oh, you know what? I forgot to pull our, let me get that. We need the main theme for the week. And on the top of the deck. All right, we'll start with that. So I want you to just take a moment and think about what you think would make you feel better right now. So just think about how you feel currently, get a sense of how you feel, and then just ask yourself, what do I think would make me feel better right now? What do I think would make me feel better right now? I just heard from my own self on a personal note, so you can get a sense of an example of something that might make you feel better. I just heard knowing where I'm going for sure, like having certainty about where I'm going. So if I'm going to get a new job in the place where I'm moving, knowing that I have that job, if I'm going to live in a certain place where I'm moving, knowing that that place is there, but just having a certainty about where I'm going, which of course is something that I could create for myself, right? Or need to create for myself. But I feel, good morning, Cheryl. I feel like it would make me feel better if I knew where I was going. So that's something that I think would make me feel better right now. So to break that down, whatever it is that you thought of that would make you feel better. Also, I want to say it's a personal triumph that when I thought of something that would make me feel better, it had nothing to do with my person. Like, I've hit a point on my journey where I no longer feel that my person will really have a profound effect upon whether or not I feel better. I have a sense that when I do feel better, there will be a person who feels as good as I do along for the ride. And I no longer think like, oh, I would feel so much better if my person talked to me, or if my person came to me, or if my person, I don't know, fucked off, because sometimes that would make me feel better too. I'm like, I definitely have hit a point where when I think about that, I think about what would make me feel better that is about me and my experience, and not necessarily about someone else. And I think that's helped me a lot. So reach for things that will make you personally feel better. But once you know, now you want to take that thing. And the reason I told you my thing today is because I want to get to the essence of my thing. So my thing was, well, I would feel better if I knew where I was going. So what does knowing where you're going mean? Well, it gives you a sense of security, right? Like if you don't know where you're going, you feel uncertain, you feel like anything could happen, you feel like you don't know if things are going to work out. There's a feeling there of just kind of floating or uncertainty. Some people like that wandering sensation. They like the idea that they don't know what's coming next, and that's comforting to them. They enjoy that. I don't. Like, I've lived that way for a long time, but it is not something that I really enjoy, being out of my control. Now, would I like to go on a spontaneous, thrilling trip or adventure where I don't know where I'm going? Sure. I would love to do that, like once a year. But do I want to live my life that way? No. So when I look at what it is that I want, that I think will make me feel better, there's an essence in it. So think back to what you thought about, even if it was that you would feel better if your person talked to you. Okay. Well, if your person just said, hey, how's the weather? That wouldn't make you feel better. So clearly it's not just them talking to you. It's having a specific conversation. Either giving you closure would make you feel better. Like, hey, this isn't going to work out, and I don't want to be continuing along this path with you, and I want to set you free, and then you are free. that might be painful, but at the same time, it's like, oh, finally I have closure. Or you could want the communication to be like, I want us to be in a relationship. I'm sorry. Let's have, let's start making things work out. Okay, well, what is at the essence of both of those things? The closure thing is kind of similar to what I want, right? Like, you don't want the uncertainty, or you don't want this feeling of something that's unfinished. It feels like if it's finished and done with, then you'll feel better. If you want them to say, oh, I love you and I'm sorry and everything, then what you're really wanting, there's a couple different things in there. You're wanting to feel seen and heard. You're wanting to feel valued. You're wanting to feel loved and cherished, right? So there's an essence of what you want. And this card that I'm holding, that is the theme of today's reading, this is something that will consistently give us the essence of what we were asking for. And you gotta love the divine, because here we have the transformation card, number 13 in the major arcana, which we know as death when we're looking at a traditional tarot deck. This is the Lover's Path tarot. So it's giving us the story of Persephone and Pluto. And I want to actually read their story to you, because I'm sure there's information in there that's meant for you to hear. But what will give us what we truly desire is ending something, letting something die, and preparing after we've gone through the stages of grief. And you might be mid stages of grief. This might be something that's already happened to you. But preparing after you've processed the stages of grief for something new to take its place. So this makes a lot of sense for what I just said, because I'm moving on. I don't want my person to know where I'm going. I don't want them to follow me. Like, it's, I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. That's dead for me. Okay, death, Persephone and Pluto, changes, endings, and beginnings. Demeter, oh my God. Do you want to know what's crazy about this? So I actually wasn't recording this before, because I was talking to people that were with me during the shuffle on TikTok about how I had pulled the Six of Swords on this day that I drove all the way to Massachusetts and realized that I can't really return there. And so I'm not going to be moving there. I'm going to be moving somewhere else instead. And the morning that I sat down and I pulled a card, I pulled the Six of Swords in reverse, and I pulled a goddess card, because on my tripod where my phone is, I always keep a card propped up. This week's is the Queen of Pentacles. And I, kind of like think about the lessons of that card. And then I keep a goddess. This week's goddess is actually Athena. And so I'll try to do some work with that specific goddess or whatever. Well, last week, the goddess card I pulled was Demeter. And what's crazy is the first word of this transformation card is Demeter. And I shared with you, and I'm going to share it with everybody who's here, because they didn't see it if they weren't on the TikTok. The quote that I wrote down the morning I decided not to move back to Massachusetts is, if you continue to spin in what was or wasn't, you'll find it impossible to move forward into a new reality. Don't be afraid to ask for help from friends when you need it. This transition period is guiding you to a more fulfilling life. Transition. It's time to move to your happy place. And then I wrote down on the side, because it was the card I pulled out, Demeter. And one of the ways I honored her was I purchased an ornament for my Yule altar spread, which I will be putting up at Yule. And I got this really cool little, it's almost like a nest, and then it has 3 mushrooms in it. And then I wrote down about her, the Greek mother goddess of life and death, the mother of Persephone, the goddess of cultivated earth, the giver of fruitfulness and abundance, the provider of the gift of agriculture. Remembered for great love of her daughter, her grief causing her to roam the earth until she found Hades abducted her daughter to the underworld. And basically, she had to learn to accept her grief. She went through all the stages of grief. Her grief causes the whole earth to go barren and restores life when her daughter returns to her. offers blessings of fruitfulness and possibility of coming joy, abundant life, and hope. So crazy that I told you about that, pulled that book out and referenced it again. And you have to love how the synchronicity of that. So back to this transformation card, which is our theme. Good morning, Meg. Good to see you. We have here to continue. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, had a daughter named Persephone, whom she treasured more than the earth. When Persephone was abducted by Pluto, god of the underworld, Demeter cursed the soil to be barren until Zeus finally agreed to reunite Persephone with her mother, but only if she had not eaten while in the underworld. Persephone had eaten 6 seeds of a pomegranate. Thus, a compromise was reached. Each year, Persephone would live 6 months in the underworld, the winter, and 6 months on Earth in the spring. Transformations, the need to allow something to die in order to create room for the new, fear of loss from change, creating life out of death, releasing stagnation, releasing a resistance to transformation, releasing the need to move in a new direction but feeling an inability to do so, and releasing rigidity. All of those things are very important for you to actually feel joy, abundance, prosperity, whatever it was that you thought would make you feel better. You have to let something go in order to be reborn. So also, I'm wearing black today, and I'm wearing black head to toe. It was not a conscious choice, but then after I started to get dressed, I realized it was a subconscious choice because I also did an egg cleanse last night and realized I had a karmic tie that was probably in my way, and so I wanted to wear like protective colors, and I didn't even realize until I put it all on, and it's like death and life and very interesting. Okay, let's get into the actual energy of the divine masculine and feminine today. For the masculine energy, I'm using the Modern Love Tarot. We have the 6 of Wands. This is a stalker card. It keeps coming up over and over again. And for the feminine energy, we have the Page of Pentacles from the Light Seers Tarot. So the masculine's overall headspace, heart space, his feeling right now is one of overcoming internal struggle and realizing he does have the capacity to achieve what he desires, and that it is something that is going to happen one step at a time with the Page of Pentacles energy, just a little bit at a time. It's a slow growth that happens when we plant a seed and nurture it, but I think the timeline aspect of what's coming next for him is just not as intimidating anymore. I think he feels like almost a comforted feeling in knowing that he is going to be able to do this one step at a time. That is a strong feeling I have for the masculine. Divine feminine is feeling this overcoming the feeling that she needed some kind of a physical offer from the masculine energy in order to feel success or victory. She was sort of insisting that she needed some kind of a material gesture to denote this person's feelings, and that somehow that material gesture was going to make up for a lot of the struggles that they had. But what she's recognizing now is that she doesn't actually need these small, insignificant gestures. In fact, when she takes a hard look at them, she's really recognizing that they don't really bring her any sense of peace or prosperity. They kind of just keep her addicted. And she's not after addiction. The divine feminine isn't a void to be filled. She has filled herself up bit by bit, overcoming the struggle of thinking that she was incapable of doing that. And because she has been able to do that, she doesn't need these small, insignificant gestures from this masculine energy anymore. And she feels like she has her own seed that she can plant and grow, and she doesn't need someone else's to be able to have the life that she's desiring. And that for her is a success and a victory over this limiting belief that she must receive something physical from a masculine energy. She's like, oh yeah, I don't really need that to feel good, to feel successful, to feel prosperous, to feel abundant. Underlying all this divine masculine's thoughts and decisions, we have the Chariot. And there's this very specific image here of this divine feminine just hauling ass away, just going away. And this is causing his a feeling of the tower. It's a tower moment for the masculine. Divine feminine waited a long while for the masculine to get his shit together, balance out, and be able to work with her in as a team. And he just couldn't get with the program. Just wouldn't work for him. So divine feminine was like, okay, well, you know what? I got all my ducks in a row and I'm going to go to the next phase of my life, and I'm leaving. I'm shifting. I'm moving on. I'm moving in a direction. I'm surrendering what I was attached to. Maybe for a long time, I thought I needed to be part of this like exciting, stimulating place. And I'm actually realizing I want more peace. I want less drama. I don't want to constantly feel the ground shifting beneath me. And the only way I'm going to feel security is if I surrender this connection to the divine and just be like, I don't know why you gave this to me. But frankly, in this state, I don't want it. And I would rather release it and just, release my ego's hold over this, because it's just my mind that's telling me I need it. But if I really analyze with that same mind, the way I feel and all of the events that have happened between me and my person, the only conclusion I can come to is that my person has been incredibly abusive to me emotionally, and has never really taken accountability for that, responsibility for that. And anytime that I try to improve my life or move in a new direction, that person tries to suck me back in, not to apologize, take accountability, and finally change and stand up and shift into a stable energy, but to just make sure that I won't go anywhere. He does not want to let me go. And he's fine with hurting me rather than letting me go. And he might even protest, oh, I don't want to hurt you. But he cares more about his own feelings of not wanting to hurt himself by letting me go than he does for my feelings of what it feels like to be kept on a leash for his pleasure. And so the divine feminine is like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to release the need for a person who, when they do shows up in such an insignificant manner and doesn't really give me anything that I could, be satiated by. And in fact, takes my energy from me and lives off of my energy of me noticing this person, seeing this person, like they're on an ego trip and I'm basically supporting their habit. And I don't want to do that anymore. So the first thing on divine masculine's mind right now is the Queen of Swords. So he's seeing the divine feminine as very scary, and he wants to tell her how much he loves her, but he's created this storm that he's not been able to quell. He has he's waited so long to overcome his obstacles, which, he was doing just bit by bit, never really communicating to the divine feminine directly what he was doing, because he didn't want to lose her. So he knew that if he went to her and was like, listen, this could take me years to figure out, I hope you'll wait for me, that she would be like, no, I'm not going to wait for you for years. Or even if she did say, okay, I'll wait for you for years, then he would feel guilty that she was forced into waiting by him telling her exactly what is, what would take so long. I'm seeing here people saying resonating heavily. Yes, I've seen that storm. He came in a dream and showed me. Yeah, Okay. So 100% he feels love, but he's very wishy-washy. He's not really able to come forward and express it. He fears the feminine is going to be mean or cutting or calculating. And frankly, she's not. Feminine having boundaries is not like mean, and you can tell that this person's thinking about the feminine is very distorted, because for the feminine to be like, yeah, I don't like how that feels, so you can't do that to me, is somehow a mean thing to do. To ask the masculine to be accountable for his behavior is mean. What? I'm sorry. Like, you don't understand that when you are with a person who loves you, that they do actually get to tell you when you're being out of line. And it's not about being mean. It's actually about being loving, to express a boundary and say, this is not okay for me. The opposite is what the masculine has always experienced in the past. And he probably did have a very intimidating feminine who would use emotional manipulation in order to control him. And so, in the dynamic that he has been used to in the past, the boundaries the feminine set weren't hard boundaries. And when he violated him, then she would just, or violated them, she would just emotionally manipulate him, make him feel guilty. And it was like a game that was played, like a game of strategy. But that's not what the divine feminine does. The divine feminine is like, this hurts, so I don't do that. If you do that, that's okay. You just go do that where you can do that with who you can do that with. You can't do that with me. That's not mean. That's me making sure that I'm safe and protected, because you're not doing that for me. And it's not your job to do that for me, but it is your job to respect my boundaries. And if you think that that's difficult, frankly, fuck you. And I guess that does seem pretty cold and pretty hard to the masculine, but she's not going to take this kind of wishy-washy bullshit anymore. She's like, do you know how many people can proclaim their love to me? Literally thousands for me. So I don't need somebody who doesn't actually want to have a physical loving relationship come and proclaim their love for me. Thank you. If you want to have a real relationship with me, by all means, come and tell me about it. If you're on the fence, or you don't know if you can, or you're scared, or intimidated, fuck off. And maybe that does seem mean, but it's really not. It is not cruel or mean to keep your boundaries with somebody. It is self-preservation. And if they don't like it, it's every sign that that person is not for you. It's a sign that that person does not have an understanding of compassion and empathy for someone's situation, right? Um I literally told him this morning that we need space for a day or two because of this. Exactly. Okay. So, present moment, what do we have? Masculine energy in the 7 of Pentacles. He is really requiring patience of this feminine. Look at it. He's on his knee. She does not look like she is willing to budge. He is like kind of begging her. It's an interesting image to have on the 7 of Pentacles. The Judgment card, of course, is about awakening to something, feeling intimidated again about facing the music. It's about reconciliation. And so in the present moment, I guess, and presently in his mind, in the masculine's mind, he realizes the time is ripe for him to reconcile with her. Like, he has made her wait so long that it's possible that these fruits are, maybe they're rotten now. They won't even, you can't even eat them anymore. He fears that. He fears the retribution of his behavior, because while he may feel the divine feminine is scary or intimidating, he also feels it is justified. She is justified in her anger. She's justified in turning her back on him after he has made her wait for so very long. The feminine is really feeling that she forgives the masculine for making her wait. That's not why she is putting a boundary up. It's not out of vengeance. It's not out of feelings of aggression, or like, fuck you, I'm not gonna, fuck with you anymore because of this. But it's really just listen, I forgive you for not knowing how to love someone in a healthy, authentic way. I forgive you for that. But I don't accept that treatment. And I won't accept that treatment ever again. And I, as much forgiveness as I can give you, I don't know that my forgiveness is really going to change you. And it's not my responsibility to do so. So I am tending to my own needs and taking care of my own self, my own prosperity, and harvesting my own fruits, and enjoying them. And, again, I forgive you for the way that you have chosen to behave, but I don't accept it. So that's where we are. I'm saving myself, and this is not really about me saving you from yourself. That's your own job. You do that yourself. So then we have this Two of Swords and again the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles coming out for masculine and feminine energy. Now, the masculine is refusing to make a decision while he tends to himself, while he nurtures himself. It is more peaceful for him to do it this way than to have a conversation. He would rather just watch the feminine energy and go within himself and just remain in this inward energy, hermiting. And it's positive that he's taking care of himself. It's positive that he's learning how to nurture himself and that he's growing and expanding. That's good. But this dynamic is something that the divine feminine doesn't really accept. And so she's just kind of like, okay, well, you know what? If he's not going to make a decision to come forward, I'm not going to move either. So he can just go ahead and focus on his own self. As I said just a moment ago, I am more interested in my own harvest. I'm more interested in what's important to me. I'm not feeling overwhelming warmth here, which is very in alignment with the Queen of Swords. Though the feeling that I'm getting is, I wish the best for him and I hope that he can really learn to take care of himself. But I'm not going to wait I'm not holding my breath. I'm going to keep it pushing in that Chariot energy and go forward in my life. And that includes relationships. I am not holding myself in a holding pattern for this masculine anymore. I'm not interested. Clarifying the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Cups, we have the Five of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So the thing is, the divine masculine knows that he unfortunately made the divine feminine wait for him to feel worthiness. And he trusted that she would just stay there and wait for him. And I think he still hopes and that she will. There is a feeling here that if the divine feminine were to really trust her intuition, she would actually not stick around, because what she has received from this person has been the Five of Pentacles. Separation, lack, nothing. She's really gotten nothing out of the situation in regards to this person. Now, everything that the feminine has gained has been through her own efforts and her own journey. The person that she's been focused on has just been a catalyst for this growth and change, but he's not responsible for it. His only role really was just to have her able to hold up a mirror to the ways that she felt unworthy, felt like she wouldn't be chosen, felt like people were prioritized over her. He didn't do anything to give her he didn't give her anything. He just by his existence, which the divine feminine chose to focus on, she learned everything she needed to learn about who she is, how to come into balance within herself. But he didn't give her anything. And she's acknowledging, yeah, if I really, really trust my intuition, this person hasn't given me anything. And then if I think back, what have I given this person? time, energy, attention, compassion, empathy, love, caring, promises, loyalty. And I've given that freely without getting anything in return for, in my case, 14 years. So this is a moment where the masculine is, afraid, because he's embracing that he didn't give this feminine anything and then expected her to just trust that he loved her, and that, when he got around to it, he would give her stuff, just when he got a chance to. He didn't want to inconvenience himself in any way. He didn't want to disrupt his life in any way significantly. He didn't want to cause any turmoil, and he would tell himself it was because he didn't want to cause the divine feminine any problems, but it's not true, because everything he did was causing the divine feminine problems. Okay, everything he was doing, he knew it was he knew it. He knew it. When you're fucking someone over, especially when they're telling you, like when you're hearing about it, that that's going on. So this masculine energy really took the feminine for granted in this situation, and now it's showing. Clarifying the Seven of Pentacles and the Judgment card, we have the Moon and the Six of Swords. Okay, so now all of the divine masculine's fears have been realized. What was he afraid of? He was afraid of the judgment of the feminine. He was afraid she would judge him as being a bad person. And he acted like a bad person, and so she's judged him that way. He was afraid that she would leave him, that she would abandon him, that she would go somewhere else. And because there's been no movement, no conversation, no communication, and she hasn't received anything from this masculine, she's abandoning him and leaving him. His worst nightmares are unfolding right now. And he's judging himself very harshly because he's aware that this is a sabotaging behavior, that he's really done this to himself. But the difference between this current dynamic and the one in the past, where the masculine is feeling a lot of self-loathing, and he's like, oh, it's my fault, is that the feminine would step up and be like, oh no, it's okay, I understand, you had a hard childhood, you did this, that, and the other thing. And finally we have the divine feminine who is standing up and being like, cool story, bro, everyone's got one, I've got one too. The difference between me and you? Okay, here's the difference. When I was going through the worst struggles of my life, and from my ego perspective, when I was homeless, when I had left my son on the East Coast to go all the way to the West Coast so that I could try to make myself famous enough, cool enough, good enough to be with this person, I would give him time, energy, love, caring, compassion, all loyalty, all the things that I was saying, and I got nothing for these efforts, but I kept giving anyway. And it was the worst time of my life. I was homeless. I had no car. I had no way of knowing if I was going to survive, but I still just projected love. I still gave attention. I still wrote poems so that he would know that even despite my struggles, even despite everything difficult that I was going through, I still cared for him. I still loved for him. I still made space for him. In the hardest, most difficult times of his life, he chose himself and fucked me over. Not once, not twice, not thrice. Many, 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 many times. And every time I would forgive. And I still forgive. I still acknowledge that he had a difficult, hard childhood, that he did not learn how to love the way that I learned to love. I still acknowledge it. I still forgive him. But the difference between the person who was sacrificing everything to create space for this other person and the person now is that I forgive you and I send you love, but I love myself better than you, to quote Kurt Cobain. And you've been doing that this whole time, and without actually the love and the compassion and the empathy and the forgiveness. So in this dynamic, if I were to continue allowing this to happen between us, I would be doing myself a disservice. And remember that when I held up the card at the beginning of the reading and asked us just to think of what it was that we wanted, and I said, I just wish I knew where I was going. This is so much the feminine energy. She's ready to go. She's not going to sit around and wait for this fucking knucklehead. Like, she's done. Like, go fuck over some other bitch who hasn't learned her lesson yet. It's not me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. But I don't know where I'm going, and that terrifies me, because for the longest time I was going in your direction, and now that I realize what a stinky ass direction that is, driving me right into the freaking landfill, I'm absolutely not interested in going that way anymore, and I'm going a new way, and I don't know where it is, and it does scare me. But I'm fantasizing and I'm dreaming about what my life could be like if I just started fresh, if it was just brand new. And that's powerful. That's really powerful. Good morning to the people who are here. I'm so happy to hear that you needed to hear this. There's a lot of people that are like, oh my God, this is resonating. Thank you so much for being here with me on TikTok. Just know this is also streaming to YouTube Live. So if you don't get to see the entire reading, you can hop over to my Tuned In Tarot YouTube page and catch the rest of the reading later today when you have a chance. And it should already be uploaded right after I complete the reading. So you don't even have to wait for it. In fact, if you go there now, you can pull the bar all the way back and start at the beginning of the reading if you would like to. So the final position that's clarifying the Two of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles, we have here the Six of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles. So the Divine Masculine is really reflecting upon the past and realizing that he left this trail of breadcrumbs and didn't really stick around with any stable energy. He wasn't solid or reliable. And Divine Feminine really was. She was there. She was solid. She was reliable. There was a song that came on the other day on my shuffle. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was called Lonely. And I think the artist, what's the artist's name? Damn it, I'll think of it. It might be the title of one of the videos actually that I posted, because it came up when I did a reading. But the lyrics kind of pissed me off because it was a masculine identifying singer. So he was singing from this masculine energy. And he was like, I took you for granted. You know, I should have realized that you were sticking around for me all this time. And I really fucked things up and I messed things up. But I need you now because I'm lonely. And I remember thinking to myself, there was a time that I would have heard that song on my shuffle and really related it to my masculine energy and have been like moved by it and been like, oh, he recognizes that he was. But then I thought about that song and I thought about how fucking selfish that is. Like, now that I'm lonely, now that it's my problem, I realize how shitty I was to you. Great. Fucking great. I'm so glad that you realize now that you're lonely as fuck. And now that's the only time that you care about me. When you have a selfish reason to care about me. Like you didn't like I didn't love you because I was lonely. That's not why I loved you. That's not why I wanted you. And the fact that that's why you would want me, it's like the same masculines who want a mommy, want just a companion, someone to be next to them. What do you plan on doing for me? In the song, he was like, oh, you did all these things for me. And now I'm lonely and I want you to come back and do all these fucking things for me again. It was the most narcissistic thing. And I started to embrace, like, as a career narcissist myself. I'm a musician. I'm a rock star. I literally want the whole world to worship me. I've had narcissistic tendencies my entire life. I'm a Leo sun and a Leo moon. I'm not unfamiliar with narcissistic tendencies, but something that distinguishes me, I guess, is that I have a self-awareness of it, and I don't want to be that way, and I don't want um to feel like I just want people around because I'm lonely. Like the people who are in my life, I want to know them. I'm going to cry. I want to know them because of how fucking amazing they are. I don't just want my friend around because I'm lonely. I want to know what my friend is doing and what her life is like right now, and what's going well for her and what's not going well for her, and the revelations she's had and the challenges she's faced. I want to read that book. I want to watch that movie. I want to be a part of that person's life because I love them and they're amazing. Not because I'm lonely and I need somebody to listen to me when I'm sad or make me feel valued. And the emotion coming up, I know, is because I actually think it's part of the divine masculine's emotion of recognizing how fucked up it is that that is what he thought the feminine energy was supposed to be in his life. Somebody who saw him and heard him and noticed him, not the other way around. Not like, oh my God, I want this person in my life, because to see them and hear them and notice them is a joy, because they're a joy. Not because I need joy in my life, because they are a joy, and I don't want to miss out on watching them become the most amazing person that they are capable of becoming. So, wow. And even if I look at the dynamic with my own father, who I'm very close to, and who's, he's a Pisces. So he's like a sweet, funny, kind, emotionally unavailable person. And my dad has always made me feel like I was beautiful and smart and creative and talented, but also, tends to only connect with me on things that are important to him. Like, he will spend all the time in the world talking about my music and supporting me in my music, but when I was on the swim team, he didn't come to a single meet because he didn't care. Like, so I have experienced that kind of a strange dynamic there, where it's like, oh, this is something I care about, cool, I'm into it. It's not something I care about, cool, I don't care. Whereas my son is obsessed with cars. I could give a shit about cars my whole life, and since my son has shown me what it's like to see cars through his eyes, I now find them interesting. Like, I'm not going to go work on one, but I can see a car and appreciate it in a way that I couldn't before, because I put myself in a place where my son's experiences and what makes him joy, I'm interested in it. Like, I'm like, oh, why do you like cars, babe? Like, no one else in our house even cares about them. It's interesting that you became so interested in them, and recognizing him as a Gemini, and like somebody who likes to work on things, and somebody who likes a flashy car, like realizing these are parts of his personality trait, getting to know him on a deeper level. Like, I feel guilty because I went and pursued my dreams in California and had to leave him on the East Coast. And yeah, I have much more awareness of who my son is than his dad does, because of the same issues that, I have with my dad. So it's just, it's so interesting to think about that. But wow, a lot of big stuff coming up today. So what does this mean? We're going to go through the oracles, but what does this mean for your situation, for your dynamic? Um, I definitely think it means that you want to take a look at the person that you are giving a lot of time and energy to, who lives rent free, in your head. And I really want you to ask yourself after this reading if they deserve to be there in your head. Um, and if they don't, I think you should really take a look at the energy of the Tower, of releasing things that are not stable, right? That are not solid and reliable. And like really just letting them go, and understanding that letting your person go doesn't mean that you never think about them again, or that you never feel love for them. How could I possibly exist without thinking of my person again? I spent 14 years of my life with this person as a significant figure in my life, inspiring to me as an artist and a musician. And then, of course, teaching me all these dynamics about anxious avoidant attachment and narcissist empath tendencies. And I literally am in the career I am because of some aspects of my relationship with this person. So I'm not going to be able to just be like, oh, I'll never think about this person again. But thinking about someone again and doling out your time and energy to try to make something happen or try to keep yourself open for something to happen with them. If you're keeping yourself open for something to happen with this person that fell in alignment with this reading I just gave, not everybody's person is like this. Remember, this is a collective reading, but for people that are in the same situation as I am or a similar energy and experience this, keeping yourself open for this person means that a person that is everything you want them to be, like right now, they can't come in. They can't come in because in the back of your mind, you're always like, well, but you wouldn't want to be entering into a situation with a person who is doing that. And so because you're a compassionate, empathic person, you know, you literally will do things to block other connections from happening so that you don't hurt someone else, because you care about someone else's feelings. You care about how they will feel if they are, if their position is usurped by this person who's taking up space in your mind. So really, it's unrealistic for you to think that you're going to be entering into a really healthy dynamic without doing the work to release this person. Now, that I can get on board with. I do not get on board with the idea that you can't release this person because they're your twin and there's no way to release them. And you can't cut bonds with them. You can't cut cords with them because they are yourself. If that's true, then you can't cut bonds with anyone, because every single person on the planet is you. Every single thing that you have in is composed of the exact same substance as you are. So you would never be able to sever ties with anything. Severing ties is a mental activity. It is not necessarily a spiritual or energetic one, but it becomes a spiritual or energetic one as you sever the ties in your mind. Like, it's, for me, I do not believe that there is just this can never break this bond and you'll never be happy with anyone else. No, I do think that for as long as you are holding this space for this person to return to you, you are not going to make decisions and choices that are going to put you in a place where you can be open to receiving someone else truly. I think that you have to let them go. For me, this has happened. It's taken probably about, I want to say it's been about a year. And it's been about maybe 6 months that I've really been successful in detaching myself. It's still difficult. It's not simple. It's like breaking an addiction, really. But it's so much better. It's so much better. And I definitely think I'm heading into a place where I can finally be open to someone else, which is really, really great. And I mean, I've been open for a long time. If that person was going to come forward and come to me and make amends, I've been open for so long. If he came today, if he called me today, I would listen to him. I would consider what he had to say. I wouldn't just be like, no, fuck you, whatever. But I would have some hard questions that he would have to answer. And I don't know that he could answer those questions or would want to, or be, I don't know if he's capable. But I definitely would be like, okay, well, that's nice. And I get it. But how are you compartmentalizing your feelings in regards to all of these situations you put me in? What are you, what are the mental acrobatics you're doing that you come to me in this moment and feel like all of those things are sort of insignificant in the grand scheme of our relationship? Because while I have forgiven you for them, I don't think that you did them maliciously. I still, I can't forget that they happened. I can't just be like, oh, never happened, because That's not reality. The reality is they did happen. You did make those decisions. You did make those choices. You had your reasons for them. Either you can tell me what those reasons are, or you can say, I don't know why I did that, which will be very dissatisfying to me. And also show me that you haven't really done a lot of work on yourself to figure out, like when you can say, listen, I had this childhood wound and I know I did this because of this childhood wound, that shows me that you did really go deeply. And when you can go deeply into a childhood wound, there's a chance you can heal the behaviors coming from that wound. That's a sign to me that we can really make some progress. But if that's not taking place, then pretty much all you're saying to me is, I'm lonely and I realize that I need you. And I'm just kind of disregarding all of the times that was true for you. It's only become important now that it's important for me. I have a feeling I could meet somebody else who would never do any of those things to me, ever put me in those positions. I would never have to forgive them for that. I would never have to be like, why would you do such a thing? Because I have a feeling that now that I've dug through my childhood wounds, I am magnetically attracting somebody who has done that same work and who is able to speak to the reasons why they behaved the way they did in the past and why they would never treat me that way. And I think that sounds like a much better relationship than the one my ego has been fixated upon for 14 years. Because that relationship just sounds like one where I have to constantly, forget about all of this suffering and then also explain to everyone around me how I could do that. Like, which is fine. I'm fine about being unapologetic about something, but it's like this, it's like a battle I have to continue to fight for the rest of my life. And I don't know, it just seems like that doesn't seem as attractive to me as it used to. Does it mean I wouldn't want it? I don't think so. I think I'd be willing to do that work. I'd be willing to work with the person, but it's really, really showing me that it would make a lot more sense for me to just completely move on from this person. I literally just left a 14-year relationship for something much more real. See? You're my light today. You're absolutely right. And believe me, I'm not getting anything from this relationship, so it's not like I'm losing anything. Like, for me to be like, yeah, I'm good, because I've gotten nothing. Nothing. And accepting nothing for so long, it just comes from this belief that you don't really deserve anything. And I know that's not true, and that's why this relationship is no longer that appealing to me. All right, look at this. Open to the infinite possibility. But it was in reverse, and I'm talking about how when you remain open to somebody coming back, you're not open to infinite possibility. Very, very interesting. I talk directly to your soul. I'm so happy. That's literally my only goal, is that I deliver messages that will help you avoid the things that I have gone through for so long. When cynicism says no, starfish spirit says yes 1,000 times over. Are you willing to entertain new possibilities? Are you limiting your goals in order to be realistic and cutting yourself off from the power of dreaming big? Let go of your rigid beliefs about what is possible for you and let starfish spirit inspire you to open your heart and your eyes to what spirit has available to you. Now is the time to stretch beyond the familiar and unfurl yourself, for you are meant for more than you are imagining for yourself. Spirit wants the best for you and will support you in achieving whatever intention you hold dear. I've had my moments where I have cussed out spirit and just been like, fuck you for putting me in a situation. I've had so many moments where I've been like, why do you make me want this and then make it impossible? And then I realized now, like, as I've gone through this, that it was never spirit that was making me want to be with my person. It was my ego. It was my fear. It was my comfort zone. It was my security that was making me want to be with this person. But what I wanted was this person to be totally different. I wanted this person to be the exact opposite of who they were. I wanted them to communicate directly to me. They don't communicate directly to anybody. I wanted them to be open with me. They're completely closed off to the entire world. They alienate themselves from everyone. I wanted them to have this good reputation and be well received by people and help others. They don't even help their mother. Their mother lives in a hovel. I bought their mother a stove when they needed it, and I didn't even have money, and I did that. They've done nothing for their own family members. Whenever I really like wrap my head around the situation, I'm thinking about if I showed up with this person, how the people who know me would be like, wow, how did this person even get your attention? And did they change drastically from who they were? Because their reputation is awful. But no, I must have that one person. It's just so crazy. Wow. Instead of praying for an outcome, right? The specific outcome, the specific person that you're attached to, I pray for the highest good of all. So instead of praying for an outcome, you pray for the highest good of all. That means that you don't think that this person is your twin and you're praying for your twin. That means that you believe you are a twin, which means you learn about the divine through love. You learn how to balance masculine and feminine energy inside of yourself. You learn about how you have the power to create the life that you want by having a creative vision, feeling the emotions that pull you towards that creative vision, taking the action, using your intellect to strategize to get to that vision. That's what being a twin means. And the outcome is completely open because you are not allowing yourself to believe how powerful you truly are, having conquered this twin flame journey. You think Nicole wants to know so much who this person is. She's like, I think it's time for you to out him. I will someday. I promise. I promise I will. Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Okay, so we're going to look at the book that goes with this, or we're going to look at the passage that goes with this card to get some extra insight. It does have the air element on it, or I'm sorry, the fire element on it. I can never find these cards in this book. 114. Oh, I think they all have the fire element. Okay, before I go into Lemuria, let me just say that I want to acknowledge that starseed ideas are a little problematic. Okay, let me just say that before I read this card, but I can still take the messages from this card without the negative aspects of the starseed stuff. But if you don't know about how starseed stuff is very, I don't know I'm trying to think of the word you would use for it. It's got a superior, like a supremacy type of an ideology, because it's suggesting there are like these higher races. You can see how that's a problem. Okay. But I'll still read it. It says, Lemuria or Mu is one of the Earth's lost lands where heaven really was a place on Earth, a time before we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. In Lemuria, life worked in harmony. All beings were seen as equal, and we were deeply reverent to Mother Earth. We knew that a mosquito was no worse than us, and the sun no better. Perhaps you too believe that heaven really can be a place on Earth. Perhaps you are part of the transition team who, at soul level, are devoted to creating this kind of harmony on the planet now. Thank you for wanting to do this work. It is easy to get overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the planet right now, but you are being encouraged to keep holding the clear vision of the future. It's closer than you think. You may be guided to hold the frequency of Lemuria in your own community, family, workplace, or within yourself. Know that it is possible, and while at times it may feel like you are alone, you truly are not. There are hundreds of thousands who hold the codes of this ancient lost land, and even Lemuria crystals that hold the codes of remembering that are beginning to rise all over the planet. Keep doing what you are doing, and remember, the only way to heal the world around us is to first heal ourselves. To work your light, you can say, I hold the codes of Lemuria and believe that heaven really can be a place on earth. I'm getting that, oh, heaven is a place on earth in my mind now. Okay, so what this card I think is about is, you might, this reading for some of you may have created some dissonance, some cognitive dissonance, because you may have been thinking that this particular person that you are focused on is your heaven on earth. And the knowledge that you are creating your heaven on earth that is for the highest good and not just for this one individual desire to be with a specific person. It's not necessarily easy to process and believe in, because we have put so much time and energy and conviction into this one single individual. And we feel like only this person represents heaven on earth for us, but it's the actual work that you're doing that's creating heaven on earth. Because in truth, the journey that I've been on and all the work that I've been doing to heal myself has made me a much better friend, a better daughter, a better mother, a better woman, a female identifying individual, a better person. It's opened me up and created much more sensitivity to me. I have much more awareness of others. I acknowledge my privilege, my white privilege, my pretty privilege, my all the things that when you're not acknowledging them, when you're not dealing with them, when you're not thinking about them, make you kind of a crummy individual. I've completely created a much more peaceful version of myself and helped nurture all the relationships around me. And to toot my own horn, I deliver this message as frequently as I can to as many people as I can to try to affect peace and help people change and love themselves as often as I can. So it has created heavenly effects for those around me. And when people call me an angel, yes, it can go to my head, but to a certain extent, I'm doing work that I was asked to do, and in a way that I didn't realize I was going to be doing it. So you are in the process of creating that heaven on earth. And it may seem like that person, that being with that one person is how you are going to experience heaven. But that's an illusion, right? That's an illusion. That heaven is within, and you bring it out in all the people you interact with, not just one single person. And that brings us to our final card, the final theme for this week, which is the Seven of Wands. You can see that in this case, there is an individual who is fighting back this beast or this dragon of some kind. And this for me is about boundaries. We talked about how the masculine individual that you've been dealing with feels these boundaries are mean or harsh or cold or unfeeling. And they're not. They're protective. If somebody tells you having boundaries is only masculine energy is only allowed to do that, that's a red flag and a half. Like you are not supposed to be an open vessel to every single person. You are supposed to have healthy boundaries, and you need to stand your ground. I feel like there might be, a little pushback energetically as you start to make your own way. Somebody who is suffering from narcissistic tendencies is definitely going to see you going in your own direction as a threat. They're probably going to try to hoover you back in. My person has tried all little kinds of things for the last 6 months. Like the same kind of nonsense that he was doing before doesn't work, but he still tries. Like he'll still try. He'll make a playlist. He'll do this and that. And I used to make fun of it, but now I don't. Now I just feel sad. I'm just like, phone call, buddy. A phone call would probably be the only way that you could get me to even care right now. And even that, it would be difficult because you really are facing a Queen of Swords at this point. My boundaries are up. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. Not interested in vampires. I used to want to be with a vampire when I was 14, and I don't want one anymore. So I'm good on that. If you're not intending to like give any energy, put any energy in, you're not getting any energy back. So just keep your boundaries up, even if you think that your person might be scared of them or intimidated by them or whatever. A truly healed individual is never going to be scared of a boundary. They're going to know how to respect it. And, I had a friend, or I have a best friend, a really good friend, who we talked to each other every single day of COVID, twice a day. And it was life-saving for both of us. And then after a year or so of that, we hit like a saturation point where I started to feel a bit like I was a therapist. And not because she was forcing me into that, but because I have a tendency to try to fix people. That's like something that I do. And I had to be like, this is not a client, that I'm working with. This is my friend. And I need to just be listening more. And there are things about my belief system that she was uncomfortable with. And we just kind of hit this wall, and she asked me for some space. And I gave it to her. And it was, for her, I know she's an Aries, and it was a reactive measure. And she also has a tendency to push people away because of her history. And so I gave her a lot of time. And then around Christmas last year, and so it was probably about 2 or 3 months that we kind of had just less communication or no communication. I decided I would send her a Christmas greeting because I knew what kind of person she was. And I knew that while she had asked me not to reach out to her the few months before, that it was unlikely based on her personality that she would be the one to reach back out to me. I just felt like it was not super likely. So I think I liked one of her pictures or something, and then when I commented or something and she liked it, when she gave me that signal, then I said, I just want to let you know I love you forever and I hope you have a happy holiday. And then she said immediately, oh, can we talk? And we started talking. So there are respectful ways to honor a boundary. And if you know that the other person is maybe not going to be somebody who's going to like take that boundary down without some kind of security, you can gently insert yourself in a way that's very much like, you don't owe me anything. You don't owe me a Christmas greeting. You don't owe me anything, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you and I love you. And that's it. I think that there are respectful ways of doing that, and your person can figure it out. He can figure it out. But continuing to engage in the exact same behaviors that you've done for the however many years, that's violating a boundary and really continuing to disrespect it, which it's really unattractive, like super, super unattractive. And it's funny because this person has become more and more unattractive to me. Like when I see pictures of them, even pictures from the past that I thought were super attractive, I can only see now the reality of them. And until they improved the way that they communicated with me, I think I would still continue to be pretty unattracted to them. It's interesting how that works. But thank you so much for being here with me today. I will go back over here now to TikTok. And if you have subscribed to my TikTok channel, you have a little prayer badge by your name. I will pull 2 cards for you today on anything you might need to ask me or just general energy. If you want me to pull cards for you, if you're over here and you want to hop over to TikTok, just subscribe to my channel on TikTok and I will go ahead and read for you today and anytime that I see you live and I have time left over after collective reading to do so. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, there is a link below if you're watching on YouTube or in my profile if you're watching on TikTok, and you will find pretty much everything you need at that link. Booking a personal reading, becoming a member so you can access the full length Tell Me Everything spreads and other things that are available for members only. I was doing that for subscribers, but I can't keep up with it, so I discontinued that. If you are a lucky subscriber that subscribed in the first month or 2 of subscriptions, you have access to the playlists. But unfortunately, I just can't keep that up. So if you do want to see the extended Tell Me Everything playlist, you do have to become a member at my site. And it's like a different thing. Subscriptions is you get free readings here on TikTok, or readings anytime I see you on TikTok, as long as you're subscribed. And members only is you get additional content. So I just realized it was two different things. And you can also book a private session if you are interested in working with me on a weekly basis. I do have openings for clients. I have a couple of openings that I could swing. So if you want to work with me on a weekly basis on anything that you have been dealing with, whether it's your person, if you want weekly readings, that's an option, or if you want to work on pursuing your passions, or childhood wounds, or spiritual or physical nourishment, anything like that, book a free consultation at the link in my profile. It's a 15-minute conversation. I'll either call you on the phone or we'll have a quick FaceTime, and we'll talk about what your needs are before you sign up for the package. It's $360 for a month, which is, it gives you 4 sessions, and hour-long sessions with me are $111. So it's a deeply discounted way to have a weekly meeting with me. And I also teach piano, voice, and music production. Don't forget about that. If you're interested in studying any of those things, I have some room for students as well. I have about 4 slots total. I try to keep it 50-50, where I work with some spiritual clients and then I work with some music students. So if you're in any one of those categories and you want to work with me, I'd be more than happy to oblige. And also any donations you want to send, there's a Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. I honestly really do need help in the next couple of months. I am going to be transitioning, and I'm probably just going to get a regular job, which does mean I'm probably not going to be online as much, but I just need more consistency than this job gives me. And I'm just going in a new direction in my life. And but I will need help to transition. So if you are feeling generous, book a reading, send a donation, anything you can to support my channel, I would be so grateful. As always, you can find my music, Pearl and the Prayers, the song I released back in, oh my God, the summer of 2021. Wow, that has really gone fast. You can access that on all the streaming services. And in January, I should be releasing an EP with 4 songs that I had been working on for the last year. Well, I worked on it around that same time that I released that song, but I just didn't release it for whatever personal reasons. And I just want to release an EP finally. So I'm going to do that in January, I think. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I will head over now to TikTok, and I will see you all later. YouTube, you can catch replays that I post during the week. And otherwise, I will see you live next Monday around 10 a.m. Have the best day. Take care. And